So guys, welcome back to the Kirk Miller Podcast. Today we have Arpan Daas, the UK's most ripped doctor. He'd probably kill me for saying that, but if you saw his Instagram, the pictures would demonstrate otherwise. Deep down, this man loves flaunting his fantastic physique just as me. But on a serious note, absolutely delighted to have Arpan on today. Arpan is a doctor, as he's going to elaborate on through today's episode. But he's also an integral part of our Built to Last coaching team. The mission behind our services, of course, is to get business leaders, entrepreneurs in the best physical and mental shape of their lives without compromising lifestyle. And Arpan plays a pivotal role in helping our clients, in particular with food. And what I love about Arpan's story, as we'll impact today, is he, for me, is one of the few doctors on this earth, and that might be a big statement, that's actually in shape. Someone who lives what he preaches. Because I think, for me, there's far too many doctors on this world who will happily give you a drug to pat down a problem, when a lot of the time, as Arpan will unpack today, so many things can be prevented and recovery be benefited from a healthy diet and looking after yourself on a personal front. So, Arps, it's fantastic to have you on the Kirk Miller Podcast.
It's good to be here.
And I appreciate your time in advance. So, just to get us going, Arps, you are 30 now.
Yeah.
10 years younger than me, which pains me to say. But where did your story start? Like, give the listeners a little bit of a background on where you were brought up. Where did life begin?
So grew up in South Wales.
Whereabouts exactly?
Merthyr Tydfil, a little tiny town in the valleys.
Is that near my limited knowledge of Welsh towns, but is that anywhere near a place called Caerphilly?
Yeah, vaguely in the same area. Yeah.
So were the behaviour patterns of people in your town similar
Pretty
to Caerphilly?
similar.
Because before Arpan gets going, I have to share this. My only experience of little towns in the south of Wales was I went to Caerphilly on one of my off seasons when I was at Coventry, because we had a couple of Welsh boys I was great friends with, and in this small town of Wales we had a day/night out, and I'd never seen drinking like it. It was monumental. I mean, the people there were playing draughts and chess with pint glasses, and you had to neck it every time you jumped over someone. It was just so. Is that the sort of
it's pretty similar culture there? Yeah.
So you've come a long way.
We moved to Cardiff when I was about 10 or 11 years old.
When you say we,
me,
how
mum and dad.
How big was your family? Do you have?
Just me, mum and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
no
an only
siblings.
child.
Yeah, spoiled.
Yes.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
We moved to Cardiff when I was 10. Spent most of my teenage years in Cardiff, and then moved to London for university when I was 19.
London. How and what would you say growing up in Cardiff? Obviously now you're in shape. It's always been a strong value to you. Obviously you're a doctor, but what was life like? Those first 10 years. What were you into? Were you always into sport, even at school? Was it more academic?
I was never into sport. I was the kid who would have really good grades until PE, in which case it would be a DEF.
Wow.
I failed PE pretty consistently for 6 years running.
Wow. Were you chubby as a kid? Were you skinny? What was your build?
I was small for the year. I had no interest in sport. I had no interest in physical activity.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of badminton and tennis, but that was about it until I was about 16 or 17. So just not an athletic child. I was academic. I was smart.
Where do you think that came from? Because obviously I know there's a lot of listeners that might relate to that, who necessarily weren't brought into sport from an early age, maybe pushed into academics, or were naturally more academic as a result of parents, or just that's the way things were. Were your parents very academic? Were your parents sporty? Because
my parents are a bit of both. So both of them, my dad's also a doctor. My mum is a psychotherapist.
Okay.
They're both academic, smart people.
Yes.
Dad was really sporty as a child. He he played football competitively back in India.
Oh, did he?
So he grew up really athletic.
Yeah.
I just had no interest in it. And I think I was a little intimidated by sport as a whole.
Why?
I don't know. I wasn't a big child. Like, I wasn't like a strong child.
Yeah.
Like, some kids just naturally are athletic. They just have the build for it, the kind of feel for it. I just had no interest, and I just didn't feel like I was strong at that. What I knew I was good at was academics.
Yeah.
So I stuck to academics. I stuck to things I knew and things I was comfortable with.
Yeah. And how did that affect? Did that impact you at all at school? Like in the friends you had, or the things you were interested in?
Kind of like I just leaned more to. I was a nerd. I was a weirdo. I felt very much on the outside. I just wasn't cool. I wasn't very confident. I just was not like that guy at school who was like captain of the football team, captain of the rugby team, like, you know, had all the girls chasing after him. I wasn't that guy. I was the quiet, weird, shy, like to himself kid.
Yes.
So I just had no interest in any kind of physical activity until maybe 17 or 18.
That's madness. 'Cause if anyone is listening to this on audio, Arpan's obviously in phenomenal shape, and even though he's part of the team now, as Arps will share throughout this episode, you actually came to me as a client first and foremost, didn't you?
Yeah.
And even when he came to me as a client, you weren't in bad shape.
No.
You were strong, you had muscles, you simply came, didn't you, to get ripped and build, as he said, was it the Superman body? Was it
the superhero body?
Superhero body, that was it. So like many of our clients who join Built to Last, you weren't broken, not physically. You know, you actually loved the gym at that point. So to hear that you didn't actually get into any form of fitness in 17, I find fascinating. I really do. So you're obviously in Cardiff, very academic. Did you have a big friendship circle? Because you mentioned there that you lacked a lot of confidence. Did that affect your ability to build friendships at school, or was it pretty much study?
I had a small group of very close friends rather than being like popular and having a wide group of friends. I had a very close group of small group of friends who I loved. But just wasn't outgoing. Found it very difficult to meet new people.
Wow.
Which is wild now because can't get me to shut up now. But
yeah. But this is what I want to unpack. So you, obviously then you're at Cardiff, and then you moved to London.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the same? Did you feel the same when you moved to London, or did that shift in environment change anything?
I think I saw London as the opportunity for a fresh slate.
Okay.
I think around 17 or 18, I started to kind of evaluate, well, who do I want to be as an adult? What do I want my adulthood to look like? And I realized like I don't want to be shy and quiet and retiring and like closed forever.
What can I ask you something?
Go on.
Well, we're on the podcast here, right? But what do you feel being closed and lacking confidence was costing you up to the age of 17?
Went to university, having never been in a relationship, never even been on a date until I was 18. I don't know. I just didn't want to end up. I didn't want to continue a cycle of behavior that I had it in my teenage years. I knew I had more to say and more to do than the product of that teenager, and that I would need to push myself out of that if I wanted to achieve that, and if I wanted to get the things I think I aspired to at that time.
Yeah. Wow. And look, I know you'll elaborate on, your sexuality, for example. When did you realise that you were more into boys than girls? When did you realise because obviously we've had our great friend Keegan on on podcast, and obviously Keegan's one of our great friends, and his story was fascinating, wasn't it? How Keegan had been in a relationship, married with children, and what was it? Keegan was late 20s, 30, wasn't he, when he...
Yeah, I think he was like 26, 27.
Yeah, but he obviously said he knew a lot earlier than that. But when did you start realising that...
I think that's a really hard question. For everyone I've asked about this, I don't think there's any pivotal moment or trigger where you're like, oh shit, I might like boys. I think it's like a series of moments in a series of like thoughts and feelings. Like maybe you start to feel different about someone at school. Maybe you see someone on TV, or like a musician you admire, or like an actor or whatever, or the running joke for any gay person is you became very interested in like the underwear aisle at the in like TK Maxx or in any like big shop, and you're like, oh, the adverts look kind of good. Like,
what does that say about me then? What does that say about me and half the fitness models I'm friends with? Because I was really interested in that aisle at TK Maxx. The Calvin Kleins were a lot cheaper. And it was how tight can I get my pants to show off my quads because I had no calves. So maybe me and a lot of people on this need to ask ourselves a few questions. But you were very interested in
So it's like it's more of a series of kind of feelings and events over a period of time rather than one like light bulb moment. But I think it took me a long time to kind of accept it. I come from a traditional Indian background. I was, my parents grew up, when my parents came to the UK, their experience of what gay people were, or the way gay people were presented in media was, they came in the 80s. So the presentation of gay men in the 80s and 90s was very much centered around AIDS and promiscuity and just negative overall, and being like immoral, or all of these other things. So I was brought up not in the same way. I'm not saying they ever told me, oh, gay people are disgusting or anything like that, but those were the values that they held, because that's their experience, that's their cultural experience. And they grew up in India not hearing about any gay people, because like it's very much still a taboo subject in India.
Oh, still, even
only recently has gay marriage been legalized in India. Only recently has homosexuality been decriminalized in India. So that's their cultural experience. And then that they didn't try. What I do credit my parents with is they never tried to rub that off on me, but that's still their experience. So I didn't grow up feeling like being gay was a positive thing, or being gay was something I could be open about. So I got to 17 or 18, finally starting to accept, okay, maybe I'm an LGBT person. I didn't know where I sat on that spectrum yet.
And up to that point, you'd not had any relationship. You said you'd not dated, so there must have been a lot of confusion at that point.
Exactly. And like I was a teenager in the 2000s. Teenagers weren't really coming out until much later in their teens, if not early adulthood. There was one guy in my year who came out during school. And he was kind of forced out, in all honesty. My school was a part boarding school, part like people came in for the day.
Was this in London?
No, this was back in Cardiff. He was boarding there and was almost forced out of the closet. And so he was the only gay person I knew. But I wasn't in any place mentally, emotionally, to be able to go up to him and be like, I think I might be as well. I don't know what to do. And we're good friends now. We actually became better friends after university, when I was able to come out, be a bit more myself. We reached out to each other. We've seen each other in London. Like now I feel in a place and power to be able to do that. 17-year-old me was leagues away from that. So coming to London, I kind of saw it as a fresh slate, to be like, I need to be open about who I am now, with a fresh slate, with a fresh set of friends, with a fresh experience. Because if I can't be myself here, then that's never going to happen, and I'm never going to work out who I am, what's important to me, start to pursue the life that I want.
Well, you simply put, you can't live life on your own terms.
Exactly.
If you're not being congruent with yourself. And to go not 17 years with that pain, because it weren't necessarily you were in pain, especially if you're well educated and things like that, but you would have known for a number of years that something isn't quite right. And then when you layer that with, I'm guessing if you weren't training, I mean, where was your confidence levels at that point with when it comes to your physical shape, or how you viewed yourself in terms from being attractive for potential partners? And
exactly, pretty low. which was a big part of why I started training.
Yeah. What was the moment where you just thought enough's enough?
I just got fed up of being the small guy. I got fed up of being like, yeah, I got fed up of being unattractive. I was like, I need to do something to change the way I feel about myself on the outside. And that's when I started taking interest in fitness around 17. But being a nerd, instead of just going for it, I did all my research. I read.
What did you do?
I read every single fitness publication you could get your hands on at the time. Men's Fitness, Men's Health, Train Mag, bodybuilding.com, T Nation, every single publication that was out in the 2000s at that time. I think Men's Health was really at its peak in terms of its cultural impact at that point. So that was pretty much my main port of call. And then one day I come across this cover with this normal guy from Coventry with a big mouth who won a competition, a completely normal guy who won a competition and then suddenly was this big fitness star. I wonder what he's doing now. I wonder what he's up to.
Who was that up?
That was Kirk Miller.
No, that was in 2010, wasn't it then? So
Yeah.
You'd been a few years into your gym. And because Men's Health for me, I mean, look, it's a fantastic magazine. I'm forever grateful for the impact that's had on my life, but it has changed a little bit. I used to love Men's Health back in the day. There was a lot more fitness stuff, and I think it was a lot more relatable to the average person, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they've very much adapted to to the change in how men consume media and the things that are important to men. Yeah. There's a lot more things about like grooming. There's a lot more things about, I think the nutrition advice and information is a lot more nuanced now than it was 13 years ago. I think 13 years ago it was still very much the chicken and broccoli diet.
Yes.
Whereas now I think the content overall is a bit more rounded. There's a bit more stuff about mindfulness, mental health. A little less about trying to sell you products.
Yes.
So I think on that side, Men's Health has been really successful in changing the perception of who their customer is.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's kind of alienated a certain base of their customers is to be seen. But I think print media overall is changing. Yeah. People are either reading stuff on their phones or they're downloading magazines to their tablets. I don't remember the last time I picked up a paper copy of Men's Health to pick up.
Yeah, I think the only time I've done that in recent years is when I've been on a plane. Yeah. And I've, I don't know, just wanted to stop myself from working. So I read a magazine instead, but then it's still related to probably what I do. But I get it. And I think with social media now, there's less need to pick up a physical magazine unless there's a specific reason. But ultimately, look, it played its part in instigating that change for you. So how did you start? Because I know a lot of people started their training in different ways when they first started. But what did you do? Was it the bro splits?
It was the bro split.
I think
chest day, leg day, shoulder day, back day. I think 90% of guys my age who started at that age probably did the same. And
what was the gym? Was it in London you trained? What was the gym you trained at?
So I actually started in Cardiff. So I was part of a tennis club and they had a gym. So I used that gym for like 2 years running. When I moved to London, I used the university gym. And it was safe. Like I didn't feel intimidated by that the way I was intimidated by like the school gym or like the school locker room. I think because there were a lot of guys in the same boat as me, maybe started at 18 or 19, just starting the gym when they get to university because it's there and it's available. And it was a nice start where I didn't feel like the smallest guy there. Or
how small were you? Like, give some context. Like, what were you weighing when you first started the gym?
Before I started the gym at 5'9.5", I was 59 kilos.
59 kilograms. Yeah. What'd you walk around now, roughly?
Comfortably 75, 76.
75. Strong, ripped. Yeah.
Maybe.
No. It's a big jump though. It's a big jump, and it's great for listeners. If you're listening to this, you know, when you check Arpan out afterwards, his physique is phenomenal, and you know, especially for a doctor. But we all start somewhere, right? 59 kilogram. You're light. You're weak. You've got to go through that stage of learning how to live properly, and then build strength and build confidence. And it's delayed gratification. Even though you do get some gains the first few months, absolutely. But you know where you want to be. So how how easily or not did you find building consistency to start with your training first and foremost?
It took a while. I think because I wasn't athletic as a teenager, I had very low expectations for what I thought my body was capable of at the time.
Did you train by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, and where did you get your routines from?
The internet.
The internet. Okay.
Bodybuilding.com, Men's Health, like all
it.
these magazines. Like I said, I did my research and I was like, I need to know everything before I even go in, which actually I think did me a lot of favors because I wasn't going in throwing weights around, didn't give myself an early injury. So I was lucky in that respect that I'd almost set myself up really well before even touching a weight in the gym.
Yes.
So yeah, I was getting programs off wherever I could get them. Some worked, some didn't. Some were credible, some very much weren't. And I just had this kind of like unerring determination that I don't want to keep feeling like this about myself. I don't want to keep avoiding looking myself in the mirror or like hiding in a corner to change in the gym or not taking my top off at the beach or not going swimming because of how I look. I don't want to keep feeling like this. And if this is the way I'm going to be able to change that, then I'm going to do everything in my power to do so. So I threw myself in very determined, very much like, I can't fail at this. I refuse to fail. Which I think massively impacted the way I approach my goals now as an adult, because I now take that same determination, that same delayed gratification and resilience into whatever else I'm working in. So even though at the time it was just, I don't want to hate how I look, that same work ethic has now mapped out across personal, professional, aspirational, like so many facets of how I function now.
Yeah. But it sounds like to me, and I think this is so important, it's something we hammer home inside Built to Last, of course, as a team, that even though it was a physical goal, what really helped you follow through on that physical goal was being crystal clear of how you wanted to feel as a result of achieving that goal.
Yeah.
And do you apply that same principle in with your career, for example? And
entirely, yeah.
Even with relationships, I mean, just for people listening, because everything we do is to chase a feeling, right? And how many times along your journey from where you were to where you are now, do you have to remind yourself of how you want to feel?
Oh yeah, entirely. Yeah, I think, I mean, it's something we hammer home over and over again in Built to Last. Your why is so important. The reason why you're chasing any goal, whether it's personal, professional, physical, is so important, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you going. That's the only thing that's going to matter if you fail, if you get to a tough point, if you're presented with a challenge that you don't think you're ready for. The only thing that's going to keep you pushing through it is remembering why you started and what you're trying to do with it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, having abs doesn't make you happy. Like we can say this all we want. Loads of people come to us. We've seen it with so many clients who've asked to be coached by us, and they say, "Oh, I just want abs," and then we ask them, "Well, why?" And the guys who don't have a strong answer, the guys who don't persevere and don't make it through, it's the ones who have a really, really good reason to get in shape, who really ultimately are the ones who we end up posting on Instagram, have amazing transformations, have changes across different assets of their life, whether it's, like I said, personal, professional. You know, getting in shape won't make you happy, but it'll help you live with more energy, which you can then apply to your personal and professional life. It may change the way you feel about yourself. And if you're feeling more confident, you're going to also apply that same energy to your personal and professional life, which is going to have play in dividends by itself. But purely in the pursuit of being ripped, that's an empty goal, because like once you get ripped, what does that mean for you? That doesn't change anything about you. You've just changed the shape of your body.
Yeah. Yeah. But it doesn't shift identity necessarily.
No, exactly.
If your how you see yourself mentally hasn't caught up with how you actually look physically.
Yeah.
The bigger the gap, the bigger the problems, and for me, the bigger the gap, the quicker someone's going to relapse and revert straight back to the physical shape that they were in before they started.
Entirely.
You know, what was your food like when you first kicked off? Like, what
Kicked off with you or in
No,
uni?
not when you first kicked off. We'll come on to that in a second. But you know, when you first started in the gym, like I know I mean, I had some crazy fucking theories when I kicked off the gym. I remember me and Smithy, was it me and Smithy? Yeah, me and Smithy, or maybe schoolmate Les. I don't know. When I first went to the gym, all I knew is, or the story I told myself was, you need to eat lots of protein.
Same. And
I remember going to the gym called Coventry Baths Gym. I used to go around the whole gym, like in whatever order the machines were in, and doing 3 sets of 10 and everything. I was probably in there for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I'd then go to, it's like the budget version of KFC, which is saying something because KFC is absolutely horrendous for you, by the way. and I'd get this bucket of chicken because it was protein, fried, and so I'd eat fucking anything, to put it bluntly, up until about early to mid 20s. I thought I was eating really, really healthy. But what was your diet like to kick off?
Very similar, protein at the expense of actual nutrition and actual healthy shit. God, I'm trying to remember back what I started with. It was very much at the time when everyone was talking about like, oh, if you're a ectomorph, you have to eat this. If you're a mesomorph, you have to eat this. If you're what's the one in the middle? Whatever it was, you have to eat.
Meso, endo. And
that's the one.
Endo, the porky one.
Yeah. So I was like,
with carbs.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, I'm an ectomorph. Oh, I can't put on weight. Let me eat everything I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
So yeah, fast food, like an over reliance on protein shakes, huge ton of pasta. Like just trying to get in as many calories as I could, because I kept being told, oh, you're an ectomorph, you need to like throw calories at the wall in order to gain any kind of weight. And it didn't work, but it kind of did, just because I was getting beginner gains. You always, that first 5 kg you just put on like that, like as soon as you start lifting.
And all you care about is numbers back there. When you first start in the gym, all you care about is, what can I bench?
Entirely.
What can I pull? I'd say what can I squat, but that really wasn't high on the agenda when I
was 18.
Kicked off the gym. My leg sessions were about 20 minutes. I don't know about you, but it was all about chest. What can I bench? What can I bicep curl? What can I shoulder press? It was all about the t-shirt fillers.
Entirely. Oh yeah, entirely.
Yeah.
Didn't give a fuck about anything. I think it was a point I was benching heavy for me then, like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, no, I need a big chest.
You have got a big chest, by the way. Yeah, so if you listen to this, Arpan's chest is like 3 times the size of mine. I'm a little pigeon chest, long arm. The long arm sufferers, the ones who can deadlift and RDL and all that stuff, but are pressing. Arpan's got a phenomenal chest if you check him out afterwards. So obviously you kicked off in the gym. You have no doubt put on gains very quickly, started to add muscle. Confidence, I'm guessing, immediately come with that, or when did the confidence start to shift that you felt a little bit happy with how you look?
Yeah, started to roll in, I think, around a year into being at university. Because by the time I got to university, I'd been training for a year and a half, so I had beginner gains. So compared to a lot of my peers who had just come out of school, 18, 19, who maybe hadn't been athletic, hadn't even touched a gym, I was a little bit ahead of them. So despite being the small, unathletic guy for the entire my teenage years, I came into university being not like the jacked guy, but still I was like
buff.
Yeah, people knew I went to the gym, and that kind of thing.
And how did that make you feel in terms of significance and importance? Because you've gone from best part of 17 years, minus the few years where we don't really know what's going on in life, lacking confidence, I'm guessing not getting a lot of attention for how you look, to then all of a sudden, within a year and a half, 2 years of lifting, how did that change things?
Yeah, definitely changed how I perceive myself. I was also starting to go out in London, started to build my little army of gays.
Yeah, when did you, was there a moment, obviously I want to touch on these apps, was there a specific moment where you did come out, you spoke to your parents, or you just let people know that you wanted to know that you were gay? When did that happen?
I told my close group of friends, just from like home friends, just before I left for university, because I still had this whole fresh slate in my mind, and I wanted to start on the right foot and not feel like I was keeping anything from them. Yeah. And I knew they'd be fine with it, and they were.
Your parents?
No, my
your friends?
my close friends. My parents took more time, so I got my first relationship when I was about 21, and I think. I mean, first relationship, you don't see any of the red flags. You don't see any rose-tinted glasses for everything. Oh, he's not like that. Oh, he's not acting up. This is just who he is. You don't see all the red flags. Yeah. And it got to a point, he had been very lucky to have come out much earlier than I had. So his parents had had the time to accept it, and he'd had partners before he brought home. So he was very much in a place where his family knew, and they accepted it, and they accepted me into their home with open arms, which I'm very grateful for. I definitely wasn't. Yeah. And I think that very much got to him because he felt like I wasn't able to provide him the family life that he was providing me, which I completely understand from his side. Yeah. It's got to be hard to see his parents accept me and then me not be able to even tell my parents.
Oh, so you hadn't even told your parents at that point?
Not till like a year into our relationship.
Yeah, so this was a couple of years then that you'd technically come out, but you hadn't told your parents.
Yeah, I was out at university. All my university friends knew. My small group of home friends knew, but my family didn't.
Why didn't you tell them?
I was worried what the response would be. Yeah. I don't think I was honestly emotionally ready for the ramifications of what that would mean to my family by the time I actually came out. Yeah. I don't think I'd mentally prepared myself mentally, emotionally, psychologically for that moment. Yeah. And then suddenly my partner saying, well, you need to come out or otherwise I'm breaking up with you. Okay. And I do understand, I do sympathize so much with his side, feeling that he's being kept a secret, feeling like, not that I'm ashamed of him, but that I'm not sharing someone I'm excited about with my family. I get it from his side. But at the same time, I was not ready to come out when I did. Okay. And instead of being able to take my time with it and do it on my own terms, I was kind of pushed to do it, which meant I don't think I did it in the most graceful way or in a way that allowed my parents to kind of compute and take it in and let it sink in. Yeah. So I told them when I was 21, and I think for them, especially going from not knowing anything to he's gay and he has a partner. Yes. I think that's a big jump. Yeah. Something I didn't probably think about at the time.
Especially, I suppose, because up during your school years, if you'd never brought any form of partner home during those school years, then all of a sudden it's gone from like 0 to 100 very quickly. And then,
entirely.
Yeah. And you would say they didn't notice at all, even growing up?
I think mum knew. I think if you ask any gay guy, mums always know. Okay. I think they see the early signs. They kind of read the room. Mum definitely knew. Dad was oblivious for a long time, and I think in a lot of ways in denial. Yes. So it took my dad a long, long time. Something we're still working on now, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being honest. Yeah. So it's but that would have been based, of course, on his beliefs and growing up and
exactly
how, like you said, how things were. Yeah. In India. Yeah.
And now, 8 years later, I'm very happy to be able to say this weekend I'm taking Gavin home.
Oh, amazing.
He's met Mum before. Mum came up to London to meet him. He met Dad very briefly in London a couple of months ago. Yeah. This is the first time I'm bringing him home to Mum and Dad. That's
amazing. Yeah. So obviously I've met Gav. He's amazing. Yeah. He's the person responsible for making you look good as well with clothes, right? He works in fashion. I remember Gabby saying to me after she met me at the event, maybe I need to book in with Gavin to sort my clothes out. But no, I'm so happy for that, and what a coincidence having this podcast to talk about that. So listen, I'm sure it's great. Yeah. So and then your career in the medical world, did that go super smooth alongside that? I mean, how were you balancing your training, your training to be a doctor?
Yeah, so I just about made it work. I think it, medical school's hard. Medical school is tough.
How many years is it, start to finish, to become a fully qualified doctor?
5 or 6, depending on where you go. I took a year out to do a different degree for a year and then came back.
Okay.
Which a lot of people in London do. So mine was 6.
Yeah.
It is this long slog. Final year is a marathon. Really? It's an entire marathon. You're always on. There's exams throughout the year to pass, both inside the university and then also international exams you have to pass to qualify.
Yeah.
It's a grueling year, and I just about held it together. Yeah. It was pretty savage, to the point that I ended up failing my 4th year of university and having to resit.
Why do you think you failed?
I was coasting. In all honesty, I was coasting. I was doing just enough, and I thought that would be fine. But then at one point, it just caught up with me. And I think that was a huge moment that changed the way I approached medical school, because I realized, if I'm coasting now as a medical student, do I want to coast as a doctor? Do I want to coast in the way I treat my patients, in doing just the bare minimum, in only treating the surface? Or do I want to be a doctor that's exceptional? Do I want to be a doctor that patients are excited to see as like, oh, I'm in good hands? I realized at that moment, like, I can't keep coasting, because it's not going to be enough when I get into the real world. I'm not going to feel like I've done my patients credit when they leave my clinic or my ward or what have you. So I had this entire shift in 4th year. I was like, I don't want to just get through the exams anymore. I need to excel.
So what did you do?
Just change my whole strategy. It became much more about, I think I was doing just the surface. I just changed my entire approach to any learning opportunity I was given. So every chance on the ward was an opportunity to see something new. Every chance in the library was the chance to read about a new topic, a new condition, a new treatment, all this other stuff. I'm not going to pretend this isn't one of those stories where I go from like failing a year to getting top of the year. That never happened.
I get it.
I was never top of that year.
Yeah.
But I did enough to consistently do well and get through.
Yeah.
But the mentality from that, I came into my foundation years of training as a doctor. When you finish medical school, you do 2 years of foundation training to get your full license. I came in and was consistently getting great feedback from seniors that I was reliable, that I was consistent, that I worked exceptionally hard.
Yeah.
I applied for a master's at one of the best universities to do sports injury.
Yeah.
I got in straight away. I got to the end of that year. So I did my master's in sports injury at the same university I did medical school.
Yeah.
So I went into the university thing thinking, I don't want to be the same student that I was at med school.
Yes.
Ended that year with a distinction. Ended that year publishing my master's manuscript in an international journal, because I did not want to coast that opportunity.
Yeah.
That I was being given, like, huge opportunity.
Yeah.
It just changed the way I approach myself professionally, in that I never want to feel like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah. No, I get it. Why did you want to become a doctor in the first place? I know maybe part inspired by your dad initially.
Actually, no. If anything, that put me off.
Okay, so what?
If anything, I spent years being like, I do not want to be a doctor.
What changed?
This looks shit.
What changed?
I think I wanted to do something that felt meaningful. I was always academic, always into sciences. I wanted to do something where I felt like I was improving people's lives. And then medicine kind of aligned with a lot of my personal values in that. It just kind of made sense at the time.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, oh, you're just doing it because your dad is a doctor. I was like, no, if anything, that put me off. Dad worked in a very, very busy GP practice in South Wales.
Yeah.
Very poor area, difficult place to work.
Of course.
Like very tight budget for everything. Working class people, like real people. with real problems rather than like treating the top 5%, like, you know, the upper 5%. It was hard. It was really hard. He came to the UK in like the 70s and 80s at a time where there weren't a huge amount of South Asians. So he grafted. He really, really grafted. And then me being immature, seeing that, I was like, that looks like hard work, rather than appreciating the fact that he grafted because he loved what he did, rather than seeing it as, oh, it just looks too hard.
Yeah.
Whereas I came in like, oh, actually, he's doing valuable work. He's changed people's lives. His patients, like he literally treated like generations of families, like grandma, mum, kids, their kids. Like there's people from school. There's people from school, like when primary school, who they took their kid to baby check, and it was my dad.
Yeah.
And like their families remember my dad for how they treated him, how he treated them, and like his compassion and his love for what he did.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, medicine just always made sense in that perspective.
Yeah.
Because I realized, oh, I can actually do something that is helpful and selfless.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Again, this might be a controversial question, or some doctors may get triggered. What do you think is wrong in the medical world just now, or what do you think could be a lot better?
Oh,
whether it's to do with the way you mentioned there that you didn't be one of those doctors that coast, that do just enough for their patients. You can't put a number on it, but be real here. Like how many doctors do you think don't take full pride in what they do, or take the easy route out when a patient's coming to them with a problem? Because from my experience, one of the things that I feel strongly about is that when someone is ill or they've got something wrong with them, and I totally appreciate people on a time scale, doctors especially, you know, when people are coming to the surgery and all that type of stuff, it's so easy to just prescribe a drug to try to solve the problem, instead of really guiding this person. Are there better ways to help fix this person, rather than just give someone a drug, whether it's to do with food or helping change the way they think? And I know they're not therapists, but yeah, what do you think is wrong just now?
This is tough. The issues with the NHS and the care we can provide to patients at the moment are so multifaceted. On the one hand, we've got a government that doesn't want to invest appropriately in public services, so social care, mental health services, hospitals, they don't want to pay the nurses and doctors appropriately. And so we got a lot of doctors and nurses feeling undervalued, undermotivated, leaving the profession entirely, or leaving for different countries who do value their doctors, like Australia, Canada, the US. So we have like infrastructure issues there. From a demographic perspective, we've got an aging population that's only getting older on average. We've got the most obese population we've ever had in history.
Is that fact?
Yeah. And it's progressively getting worse. I think, don't quote me on this statistic, I think someone said like 3/4 of adults will be classed as overweight or obese by 2040. Maybe it's 2030. It might even be earlier.
But that's going to put even more pressure on
on
doctors, because obviously if people are really, that amount of people are going to be overweight, then they're going to be taking trips to the doctors and hospitals more.
So you've got a population that's getting older. As you get older, you're more likely to get chronic disease,
of course,
heart disease, lung disease, strokes, dementia, all of these things. You have a population that's becoming more obese than ever. So you're seeing the highest rates ever of diabetes, heart disease, strokes, high cholesterol, bone and joint issues just from purely the weight. And then on top of that, with all that pressure, our slots for each patient become shorter and shorter and shorter. GPs now get 10 minutes per person, which in that 10 minutes you have to address why they've come in. So maybe you've asked them to come in, or they've come in on their own accord. You have to go through their medications. You have to go through any letters they've had from any specialists they've seen. You've got to examine them appropriately. You've got to order any tests you want. You've got to document all that. And you've got to prescribe and do all these other things, all of that has to fit into a 10-minute window to the point that like I can't get to a point where I can have a meaningful conversation with you about what are you eating? Where are you moving in the day? How's your sleep? What is the quality of the food that you're actually putting in your body? We purely don't have the time. And it's tough because like those are the things that actually are going to cause long-term change. Not me prescribing you a tablet for your blood pressure, not me sending you to a physiotherapist because your knees are knackered from holding your weight, not
could be digestive issues, could be anything.
Not me ordering all these blood tests because I have to every 3 months because your diabetes is off the charts. Like that's not going to, in the long term, affect your health. It's just going to keep you from your disease getting worse or getting the symptoms of your disease. What's going to change things is if I'm able to be afforded the time to talk to you about, well, maybe we need to move a little bit more in the day just so we're burning more calories. Maybe we need to look at what the quality of what you're actually eating and make some healthy swaps for more vegetables, lean meats, less butter, sugar, fat, all of these additives and salt and all these things, which are actually causing you more damage in the long run. We don't have the time.
So how can we, or are there any plans in place from the NHS or how does this change?
It needs to come from a government level. There needs to be a change in our infrastructure when it comes to city planning in terms of making physical activity more accessible and making cities more walkable so people aren't relying on cars. We need to make having a healthy diet more accessible by making fruit and veg cheaper and lean proteins and sustainable carbs rather than being able to pay 50 pence for a bar of chocolate. We need to change our culture around food and around fast food, especially, and snack food that is leading people to be obese in their 30s and 40s. There's huge infrastructural change that needs to happen in order to create a society that isn't obesogenic. On top of that, education around physical activity and diet needs to be more entrenched in the way we teach doctors. I had no education around nutrition in 6 years of medical school.
Not one.
We maybe had an afternoon on it.
Madness.
None.
That's absolute madness. Bearing in mind as well, like I'm no doctor and I don't want to stay in my lane here when I say this, but ultimately when you take medication, it's going to do something to your body, change your state, change something internally. But that's the same thing food does. It affects your biochemistry, it affects your state.
Yeah.
And I just find it absolute madness. Even movement, shifts mood. If someone's coming to you, I'm depressed. Okay.
Yeah.
You might want to think about moving and see how that changes how you feel.
Yeah. At least when I went to university, I had zero meaningful education about nutrition or how to coach someone through changing their diet. We had stuff around alcohol, we had stuff around smoking, and then we were always told, when you're counseling someone about their heart disease, diabetes, etc., you need to include in that they should improve their diet and improve their and do some exercise. The first question that a patient's going to come back to you is with how. And based on what I was taught at university, I'd say 80 to 90+% of doctors wouldn't be able to answer that question. And it's really tricky. Like, without my kind of active interest in nutrition and exercise,
which was initially based, sorry to interrupt you there, buddy, was initially based on I want to change how I look, to change how I feel. It was nothing to do with health and longevity. Myself included, when I first went to the gym, you don't think about, my health, my bloods, my cholesterol, my blood pressure, and avoiding diabetes, do you, when you're first picking up weight?
No, 18, I'm not worried about it at 18 and what happens.
So it's only really by accident, really, that as a result of you exploring how to change how you look, you've now been fascinated by the deeper metrics of health, of how can we keep people out of doctors' surgeries, how can we keep people out of hospitals and things like that.
Yeah. So I recently did I led a teaching session with my GP training scheme in North London. And I asked the room, like, how many of you have seen an advert on TV that says, go to your doctor before going through any kind of dietary or exercise change? And all of them put their hands up. And then I asked them, honestly, how many of you would feel confident having that conversation? Every single hand went back up. Wow. But we don't have the education around it. Like, we get told the government guidelines around calories being 2,000 to 2,500. We get told the government guidelines around physical activity, which is 150 minutes a week, which I think is drastically low. We even get told the government guidelines around how much fruit and veg you should have in a day, which is 5 portions, which has no backing in any kind of medical science. That's a number they plucked out of thin air, I think in the 80s. There's nothing in literature to say that 5 portions of fruit or veg is enough or gives you enough micronutrient variance in the day to really keep you healthy and keep your body going optimally. But we've just chosen 5. And even then, I think like over 2/3 of people struggle to get 5.
Wow. Wow. It's madness.
Yeah.
So how important doctors like yourself and maybe the 10% that are health conscious, how important a role do you feel you guys play now in changing that message?
I think for a lot of doctors, especially ones who are interested in the kind of the lifestyle medicine or the nutritional medicine field, social media has been a huge gift.
Yeah.
Because you can reach a huge amount of people in a very short amount of time. You can give a lot of information in very short snippets that I can't do in a 10-minute window with one person.
Yeah.
A 10-minute window with one person means I can reach 6 people in an hour, and that's even if I have time to approach that subject. Whereas if I do a post on Instagram that reaches 1,000 people, or if I do a reel that's 20 seconds long, I can reach, the impact of that is huge. And there's some amazing people doing some amazing stuff on social media. You've got the food medic, Hazel Wallace, she's incredible. You've got
some great guys in the US as well, haven't they? That are absolutely hammering home the importance of real food.
Entirely.
For example, like, I mean, are you allowed to dish out your Instagram when you're with the patient? Because really, that's what's probably needed, isn't it? Going, listen, I've only got 10 minutes to break down and go for your problem here. But I mean, your Instagram page, I mean, tell people about that, because before you, and this will lead us on to obviously what you're reaching out and working with us in Built to Last. I noticed before we locked in a call and you joined Built to Last, your page was dominated by healthy food recipes and well, your page, what was it? What
Arpan eats.
What Arpan eats. Why did you kick off the Instagram page? Was that related to trying to spread messages a little bit about healthy recipes? And
I think at that point, especially, information about like good quality information about real food was hard to come by.
Yeah.
Either it was really, really crap recipes on the internet, or it was behind a paywall and you had to pay a nutritionist, or it's in a recipe book. And even some of the recipe books that were around at that time, just, you have these chefs who have no place saying what is healthy food, like Jamie Oliver. And
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, again, look, he's a great public figure and all that stuff, but some of the recipes that I've seen are ludicrous.
So I just wanted to make the information around easy, accessible recipes more available to a wider public, to show that you don't have to eat chicken and broccoli, you don't have to eat a beige diet, you don't have to be stuck to salads in order to eat healthily, support your fitness goals, whether you're trying to lose weight or gain weight, or just stay healthy, strong, fit. I just wanted to make it easier for people to be able to see that as something that's attainable and something that's easy to do. Some things that are easy on time, easy on money,
and taste good,
and taste great. Yeah. Like, healthy food does not have to taste bad.
No, and we all fell into that trap at the start of the gym journey. Yeah, how bad can you make the food taste? Well, that was my philosophy for a number of years. But ultimately, what you're sharing there, this is exactly why we'll come on to Arp's transformation when he joined us in a second. But obviously, one of the pivotal roles you play for us is how can we make it easier for our clients to not only enjoy great food if they're making food by themselves, but we're on the front foot with things like airports and hotels and restaurants now,
and eating out and Deliveroo and all of these things.
Practical solutions that they require work to get done. And like, we're ruthless, aren't we, with our attention to detail on these things, but these are the things deep down that we need to make work for people because it's how they live.
Yeah.
People are more time poor than ever, aren't they?
Entirely.
Not everybody's got 3 hours a day or 3 hours a week to prep their food, or they're in a place they don't want to, like me, but you still want the outcome of looking good, feeling good, dropping fat, being physically fit, being attractive.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? And that's where ARPS is gold for our coaching team, because our goal is to help people look the way they want to by eating the things they need to without compromising taste as much as possible in the real world, right? So, I know me and you could probably talk for days on this. I'm conscious of time, but tell the listeners what age and why did you reach out to me to take your physical goals to another level? Where were you at that place? Because I say you were in a good spot. You were strong. Elaborate on people physically. What was your weight when you first started?
82.
I think it was a bit higher, but maybe something telling me, and maybe it's just the number I was when I was doing my one and only bulk back in the day. But I thought it was more mid 80s. But
maybe it was. Yeah,
it was definitely in 80s.
Around there.
But you certainly were packing in the calories at that point, right?
Yeah. I was 27. Been following you on social media for years, and then one day you did one of your "I'm looking for 5 men to transform their lives. Let's fucking go." And I was like, why can't that be me? I've been training since I was 18. I wasn't in bad shape. Like I was just with packing on a little more fat than I would have liked. I wasn't weak either. By that point, I'd been training for 9 years. I was strong. But I just wanted the shape that I feel like I was afforded having trained for 9 years. I reached out and I was like, look, I'm already training. I'm already eating what I think is the correct things to be eating, but I was still in that. I need to pack calories. I need to pack protein in. Probably not in the most healthy way either. Just fix it.
Yeah, I think you tried all the magazines.
Every single magazine. I tried every single workout.
Googled all the YouTubes, and it was like...
Yeah.
Maybe this person might know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
a
exactly.
little bit. Yeah.
And like I said, like I've followed you on social media for years. I was aware of you from that first Men's Health cover. Yeah. So I was like, this is someone who feels like he knows what he's doing. I like his message. I like his direct style where he's not laboring around the point. He's not faffing about. He's just getting results. That's all he's interested in. And that's what I needed at that point.
And then with your journey, because ultimately you're in a great place now, right? Great physique, been in consistent shape now for a long time. But share with the listeners as well, maybe the first 6 to 12 months of that journey where, if I remember correctly, we kicked off, made great progress. And then I remember we were sort of sat at a certain point, weren't we, for a little while where you were in very, very, very good shape, but still not quite where you wanted to be. And I feel this relates to a lot of people listening. It relates to a lot of our clients where they're out of pain, they're in good shape, but they know there's more. And I remember us having a conversation, didn't we? And it was like,
we can dial this in.
Yeah, exactly. But just tell people a little bit about that journey, like, because obviously you pushed on, you immediately saw progress and all that stuff, but what took you from very good shape to exceptional shape?
So yeah, I guess the start of us working together was a little complicated because 3 weeks in, lockdown happened.
I remember
3 weeks in, I lost the gym. There was a big part of me that was like, oh, should I just pull out? Like, what's the point? Like, I don't have a gym. I purely don't have a gym. How am I going to lose X amount of weight or like change my body shape significantly without it? And then like within maybe a day, you messaged me like, how quickly can you get weights at home? Let's do this. Like, there's no reason we still can't tick this off and get it done. And I was like, okay, if he believes we can do it, let's go for it. So I held on. Lockdown was about a year.
It was tough, yeah.
Yeah, 6 months in, then we had like September, October period, then the November lockdown, then like a week and a half, and then the second big one. Yeah. So when did we come out of that? Like April? And I think between maybe January to April, I'd coasted. There was a big part of me that was like, I think and I think anyone who lived alone during lockdown can attest to this. It starts to mess with your head.
Yeah.
Like my mood was low, my mental stamina was low. I was still doing my master's at the time. So I was still getting a little bit of human interaction, but it was over Zoom. I couldn't attend class. All of us were attending remotely. I had 2 friends who I was in like a bubble or whatever they were calling it then. But like when you lose that social interaction, like it really messes with your mood. So I just coasted for a long time. I was just like, I wasn't really pushing myself in the sessions. I was just doing them. I was ticking them off. I was eating pretty well, but not like, it wasn't dialed in or anything. It was just kind of fine. And then as soon as we got out of lockdown, you were like, we can dial this in. Like, you're very good. You made a lot of progress, but you said you wanted to come to me with a superhero and get a superhero body. And I wanted to deliver
on that. That was what was key. I was like, I remember I put a picture up on Instagram, ripped, and you send me an emoji or, oh, you look great. And I'm like, I hope she keeps saying this. Right?
Yeah. I think there was 2 or 3 transformations before me of guys that I started around the same time as, and they posted theirs, and I was like, oh my God, they look so great. I think it was Matt Clover and what's his name, the chef guy,
David.
David. Yeah. Back to back within a couple of weeks. I was like, shit, you know what? Let's go. Yeah. Like, let's get this done.
How important? Because this is I believe this is important for any listeners. How important is it having people around
hugely
you like that? Because ultimately, you said that those 2 guys who are both touching nearly 50 produce unbelievable transformations. They sort of gave you that push to go, come on, up your game. How important is it having not just me as your coach and the coaching team, but other guys around you who are striving towards that next level? How important is that?
Huge. Community and the people you surround yourself with has a huge effect on how you live your life. I mean, if you have people that challenge you and who are achieving great things, it makes you want to achieve great things. If you have people who are slacking, who are just like, oh, let's just skip the gym and go eat something, or like are just not bringing the same energy that you are, it pulls you down. Yeah. So I think one thing Built to Last has that a lot of coaching services don't is that sense of community. We see it every single event, how close everyone is, despite the fact that in reality, most people just know each other from that Facebook group. Like, we were on that Facebook group for, when was the first event? Was Dubai the first event?
Yeah, the
first
Dubai,
in-person?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, yeah.
Was there a London event before that?
No, that was the first.
No.
I went big. I didn't. Yeah, for anyone listening, I didn't dip my toe. It was just, I thought, fuck it, if I'm doing it,
but like,
go straight to Dubai.
Everyone meeting in person, it was like meeting someone you've known for years. Yeah. Like the closeness and the value in that community and the amount of love in that community and support. Every person that wins, it's a win for everyone. Everyone that achieves something great, whether it's, we've had John Hockaday, who's been very honest about his how much alcohol he was drinking at the time. We've had guys completely transform their bodies. We've had guys completely transform and say, oh, I can run after my kids now. I can, I'm bringing more stuff to my work. I'm doing X, Y, Z. The amount of support and love in that group is valuable to a point that you can't put a number on it. You can't put money on it. Yeah. You can't buy that kind of community, which is purely very unique to Built to Last and something that I think is what sets up so many clients for success, because they feel like every win is theirs. They're challenged by people who are pushing, who are maybe a little ahead of them. They see people, because our clients are not in their 20s and like athletes. They're in their 30s, 40s, 50s. We've got a couple clients in their 60s. Yeah. These are normal people with normal lives, normal jobs, families, kids, etc. And they're seeing people like them in similar situations, in similar environments, who are still achieving, and it makes them want to achieve. And I think that's what's so special about Built to Last, is that we've created that environment where people feel comfortable, who have been very, very emotionally honest. I think the posts we get sometimes on that Facebook group about guys, I'm struggling, or guys, I've been through XYZ. I'm here because I've had a stroke, I've had a heart attack, because I feel low. All of these things, we make people feel comfortable enough to be forward with that. And then we just get outpourings of love from that community to be like, we're here for you no matter what. Not only from the coaches, but from their peers. And that is priceless.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I say this to any new clients coming on board. It's not the Kirk Miller show anymore. Like, there are some, not only our coaching team, of course, I believe is second to none in our field, but the impact of every single person in that group in some degree makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because there are some people who come from an athletic background, many who don't.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who are phenomenal in business and are structured, are organised in that field that can rub off on us.
Yep.
And it's gone far beyond for me just a physical transformation, but it's a mentality, isn't it, that we've created?
Entirely.
It's a mentality of a constant state of improvement mentality, ruthless honesty, this progress over perfection, rather than consistently being on it and off it. And that's why we put so much work into it, So look, I know this is escalated a little bit. No, honestly, Abs, I appreciate the your time and your honesty and some great shares. And I wanted to unpack your story and in even your views on the medical world, which is fascinating for everyone to hear. But what's the goal moving forward for Apps? What is the goal personally, professionally, physically? How do you stay motivated? Like, what's driving you now?
Yeah. So professionally, I'm trained to be a GP in central London. I've got 2 more years until I fully qualify, and then I want to be able to incorporate my background in lifestyle medicine and coaching and nutrition and all of that into my work as a doctor, and actually be able to have those conversations that I'm itching to have with patients to actually cause long-term change rather than relying on prescription. So I want to be able to do that in some way or form. Personal goals, bigger, better superhero body, keep striving to get to the strongest version of myself from that front. And then, just keep building a platform to allow good, healthy, nutritious, delicious food to be accessible for anyone who wants to positively impact their body or their health.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know Arps will definitely speak on a bigger scale as well. And I suppose great opportunities I feel that will come for you will be talking at scale, in the medical world, bringing together all the dots to do with training, to do with food, and obviously all the science behind that too. Where can people find you?
At the moment, just Instagram.
And in the Built to Last program.
And in the Built to Last, you can sign up to the Built to Last program and be coached by me for your food and recipe needs.
Exactly. You want to see the resources this man is putting together. Like, we are obsessive. I'm not even going to say too deeply what we do, but that's safe to say our clients, when they travel, when they're at restaurants, when they're at hotels, when they're at airports, they're not second guessing how to get their protein in and eat healthy food through this man sat opposite me today.
So you can join the Built to Last program, or I'm on Instagram at What Arpan Eats, and maybe doing something to do with TikTok or another platform at some point.
Exactly. No doubt we'll I'm sure we'll do a team podcast at some point on the Kirk Miller Podcast. Great. Yeah. But mate, thank you so much for your time. Please check Arpan out. He's a fantastic human above all else, and he's had a massive impact on our clients' results, and he genuinely is, I feel, one of the best looking doctors in the country. One of the best looking doctors in the country, and he's got a phenomenal body. But for me, he lives what he preaches, and I think that's so important. It's a strong value of mine, whether you're a coach, whether you're a doctor, live what you preach and people believe you more. And that's what he does. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.